Hello, welcome back to my Divine Muses channel. It's been quite a while since I've posted here, but I know some of you like walkthrough videos, so I thought it would be fun to throw this video together of some of my Halloweeny decks that I have in my collection. This video is a bit slapdash, fair warning, so forgive the clunkiness that you encounter here. Also, I wanted to make note that a few of these decks are out of print. I'm not here to recommend you buy any of them. I do love them, but I just know that we all have so many decks already. This is only to go through and appreciate some beautiful, fun, and funky creations that were made for this time of year. We don't have to own all of these, right? These are just the ones I do. I know there's so many other beautiful Halloween and witchy decks out there. So I hope that you enjoy the ones I share with you here. Have a safe, fun, and spooktacular Halloween and a most blessed sound this year. This is the Santa Muerte Tarot. By Fabio Listrani. And I do like using this deck through October and, of course, the first weekend of November for Dia de los Muertos and All Saints Day. So when this deck first came out, there was a coffin edition that I had. But when I moved, I had to go through my decks and decide which I was going to keep. And so this was the one I kept. And it has the different languages as you expect from Los Scarabeo. I'm just going to go through these. Really beautiful artwork. Of course, since the figures are skeletons, they makes it a great deck for readings for this month, the month of October. I do have an article that I wrote on my blog about this deck, so if you want to check that out, I'll put the link down in the description box so you can look into the details that I wrote about this deck and its suits. Really beautiful colors. I just think it's just so bright and beautiful. Oh, I really like that Two of Cups. Just so beautiful, pouring water into her cup. But I do have more details you can read about this deck of the magician with the candles and his sombrero. That is a great devil image. And that is the Santa Muerte Tarot. So in this tin that I made, it was from a hairpin box. And I kind of painted it for these poker-sized, actually this is bridge-sized tarot. And I picked this deck as one of my Halloween decks because I like the coloring of the Pam's Vintage Tarot with the Pamela Coleman Smith, Rider-Waite-Smith artwork. And it's borderless, which is nice, but it has a kind of vintage distressed coloring on there, which is pretty nice too, as far as a vignette on your reading table. It's a nice size. I don't know if these are still available by like Lucky Card Real. This one said it's in a limited edition, 500, but again, this video is not about whether you should run and get these decks. It's just about showing you what's in my collection. I do like this size. That's Pam's Vintage Tarot. Up next, we have Mildred Payne's Secret Pocket Oracle by the Deviant Moon Tarot creator Patrick Valenza. And this is a Lenormand inspired oracle that is the second edition that he released in, I don't remember the date. But it's just fun Halloween dark. Oh, there it is, 2019. And it came with this little velvet bag and this little printout on this brown thick paper with some keywords. So Patrick added just a bunch of, created this story on Mildred Payne, and there she is, I think, yep, age 9, and the story is that she's in an insane asylum, and I think it's an insane asylum. Fenwood Asylum, 1928. Whoops, sorry, which? And it's just, it has such a dark Halloween vibe that it's fun to use. I read it like a Lenormand. Very simple emblems. With some familiar Lenormand emblems, symbols. But very witchy and very much a Halloween vibe. And this is fun to break out in October. nice size. And that is the Secret Pocket Oracle, Mildred Payne's Secret Pocket Oracle. Next, we have the Deviant Moon Tarot, which is the borderless edition. And I really like this deck for the Halloween season as well, just because it's got little, just those interesting characters. It just gives off that vibe for me. And I read, there's his signature. I had read with the first edition for a while with the borders, and this is the deck I decided to keep between the two, because I ended up getting the borderless edition thinking the artwork would be bigger, which was true. And there's the little red book. A little about the author, creator, and I don't know how. I know this is a really popular deck to read with when it came out, but not sure how much this is read with now. But I do enjoy getting this out in the season of the fall, Halloween. It's just really beautiful artwork, of course. The imagery really speaks to me when I'm using it in readings. And it's also fun, as well as, I don't know if creepy's the right word. Maybe creeptastic. I just love the Empress in this deck. Beautiful. Oh yes, and death too. And the traditional not naming it, just numbering it. And that is the Deviant Moon Tarot. And here we have the Bohemian Gothic Tarot. And I've read with this deck for quite a few Halloweens now, and it is just a marvelous deck to read with for the Halloween season, especially if you like the vampire energies, and also, of course, the Baba Studios. I also have the mini of this that I really enjoy, and I should probably grab that. Okay, and here it is, and it is very cute. So I will show you a quick difference. I don't think I have a video. Oh, here's the other lovers. There was a couple lovers on this one. This was the new lovers for this edition, the third edition of the Bohemian Gothic. The back is just beautiful. Just stunning. Can be dark to read with though if you don't have enough lighting. There were some events where I did tarot readings for Halloween, and I will say that if there isn't sufficient lighting, it can be hard to see the details. That was for the bag tag. Just to kind of compare the two sizes. Here's and the backs too. The third edition mini. And that's the other. There's the lovers. I think there were two lovers in this one too. That one was similar to the first edition. I'll show you the bigger one. Pretty dark deck in theme and in an energy. The Baba Studios Magic Realist Press decks are just stunning in my opinion. I know people who, when I read with this deck, they are captivated by the art, and it really brings them into the reading. Again, I don't know if this deck is available. I didn't look into that as I was recording this. I do believe they re-released this. But I'm not sure if it's available anymore. I had the second edition, the pewter edition, and that was even darker than this. They really brightened the artwork up in this deck, so. There is the Bohemian Gothic Tarot. Okay, now for the Halloween Tarot, a little change of energy. This is a little more playful and childlike Halloween deck. I like to use this deck for children, and I have this 10-sized edition, and you can see that the deck is, it's a little bigger than a bridge size, this little mini pocket edition, and you see that with it's the same artwork as the larger size, but I trimmed and colored edges. You can see the original size was here, and this is what it looks like trimmed or debordered. And for me, that makes that size a little more manageable, but also for when you're working with kids, this deck's obviously a little easier for smaller hands, but it's pretty. I like it with the black marker edge treatment, and of course debordered is just fun. looking at the Jack-o'-lantern Tarot by Juliana Costa and Los Garabeo. This, I purchased this deck, I think it came out in, was that 2023? I think it was 2023. And so I've been using it. I used this last Halloween season quite a lot, actually, more than I expected. Although I'm not surprised because I really like Juliana Costa's other decks, the Mystical Tarot and the Tarot of Traditions. Let me grab those. And also the Pre-Raphaelite Tarot. I just really think his decks are so magical, and he just does such a great job with the tarot, the archetypes, and the symbolism. So I've just purchased all of his decks, and the most recent one was the Tarot of Traditions, and I have actually been using that as my working deck since February when I purchased it this year. So let me move those out of the way, and let's go through the Jack-o'-lantern, Los Garabeo. And of course the coloring, he has the black and orange, which is very Halloween, and all the jack-o'-lanterns, and his kind of mystical, eclectic artwork is very intuitive. I feel like it taps some part of that subconscious part of your brain, that realm that we need to connect into when we're doing readings. I'm pretty sure this deck's still available. So here's one of those decks that are not out of print. So stunning, so very interesting. Love the owl with the Queen of Cups. That has that very antique feeling devil card. Jack-O-Lantern Tarot. And here's the Wicked Sibyl by Melissa Haney. And this is a Lenormand deck, and here is the meanings for the cards. And this is definitely out of print. It's been out of print for a long time, and I'm pretty sure I had this in the other Halloween decks video that I did. These are just very I haven't read with this deck as much in recent years. When I first bought it, I used it for a few seasons, but I haven't used this in a couple seasons. But it's just so gorgeous. Really like her collage work. And there's the extra man and lady. And there's the back. And that is the Wicked Sibyl, Melissa's Wicked Sibyl. And this is the Gypsy Witch fortune-telling playing cards that I purchased at a flea market a few years ago. And this is playing cards deck that you can read fortunes. It's been around for quite a while. I use this in a Lenormand style way. Sometimes it's not a deck I use very often, but one of the decks in my collection that can be a Halloween deck. So you can read the little inscription. And there's similar Lenormand cards, just different numberings. The book and the ring. Birds. The eye. Clover. Star. Lilies. So you could just remove. I'm pretty sure this deck's still available. It's a US Games deck, so I would imagine they're still printing this. The back's very witchy. And that is the Gypsy Witch fortune-telling playing cards. This is the Vampire Tarot by Robert Place, and it's definitely out of print unless there's information that I don't know about. It's been out of print for a while, and it originally does not have its corners rounded. It was very pointy, and so I rounded the corners off this deck. This is a great book if you love the story of Dracula, Bram Stoker, Dracula. It's based on that. And there's actually a lot of information about tarot here that I was really surprised about when I bought this. Oh my gosh, I don't remember what year that was. It was quite a few years ago. And there's just a lot of information about vampire lore and different vampire lore in connection to poetry, like Edgar Allan Poe and Bram Stoker's characters, of course. And so this is a fun deck to read with, but it is not a deck that is very intuitive if you read with the Rider-Waite-Smith. It's definitely you really have to use your intuition, and it's definitely a new new system you learn, but it is fun to read with during the Halloween season. It's very glossy. I cut the corners of the deck. It was so pointy otherwise, but just a gorgeous, so you can see me in the glossiness of this deck. And it was reversible, but we have the Brides of Dracula. There's Edgar Allan Poe as the Knight of Stakes. So you'll see things like this throughout. There's Pamela Coleman Smith, who was friends with Bram Stoker. And there he is, King of Garlic Flowers. Robert Place's artwork is gorgeous. If you're familiar with his other works, they are just stunning. Very in-depth and full of symbolism. I really love this card. It's so stunning. The moon, beautiful. Lord Byron. Nosferatu makes an appearance in this deck. So you'll see there's characters and the authors that are connected to those characters in this deck. Van Helsing from Dracula, and there's Mina as well from Stoker's Dracula. There is Nosferatu again, making an appearance. Dracula, Count Dracula. There is the Vampire Tarot. Now here is Bruno Beery's Gypsy Lenormand Oracle deck. And this is a deck that I also debordered, trimmed the borders off. They had white borders. I don't think I have an original card. Sometimes I keep the title card untrimmed just to compare, to remember how big it was, but I mean it fit in this. So you can kind of get an idea how much I debordered. There was quite a big white border on this. And these were, I guess, they're extra cards. They're like title cards, but I like this deck for the Halloween fall season. I colored the edges with the Tim Holtz ink pads, and I believe the color was Vintage Photo. And this is, as I trimmed the white border from the cards, I had to remove some of the, you can see where it cut some of the number off, but I wanted the back to be like a really even trim, so that's what I did for that. And sometimes when you're doing these borderectomies, debordering decks, you have to make decisions like that. But this Lenormand deck that I enjoy using for the fall and Halloween season. It's beautiful artwork. Oh, the stars are cool with the constellations. And there is the Gypsy Lenormand Oracle deck by Bruni Beery. So these are the Halloween decks from my collection. Which was your favorite? I think mine currently is the Jack-o'-lantern Tarot. I have some other witchy decks that I didn't show. I just felt compelled to go through some of the more Halloween-y decks from my collection. I wanted to share since my channel has been lying dormant for so long. If you like these gentle walkthrough videos, I'm considering doing more. I want to offer a relaxing atmosphere to soothe our nervous systems. It's such an intense online world we live in now. If you're interested in a tarot and astrology session with me, I invite you to book at divinemuses.net. Let me know if you want me to read with any of these decks. Take really good care of yourself and let me know if you need anything. Okay, bye.